Hello and welcome to 100% Real with Ruby. I pulled up some stuff from a Facebook group and it's very common out there if you're in perimenopause, feeling defeated with where your progress is going. And I have this fella here to discuss some of this with you. So, with someone doing as much as they're willing to do and lifting 2 times a week, rock climbing, hiking, or zone queuing, they don't really want to do any more than they're already doing because they feel like it's excessive and they have other hobbies. They are eating incredibly healthy. They're making sure they hit their macros and they're tracking 1,700 calories a day with 90 to 100 grams of protein, tons of veggies, and only whole grains. She feels stuck. There is literally only 5 to 7 pounds of fat hanging on. She has all the muscle she could want, so she doesn't want to bulk, but she doesn't know how to make her belly fat go away. What is the missing piece to getting down to the 19 to 20 body fat that I am wanting? What would you say about that? That is what a lot of women would class as high protein, 90 to 100 grams.
No, that's low.
What is typically spoken as high protein, it's 800 grams, but technically the higher end of protein is, well, should be seen as a baseline of protein where you're getting 2 times your body weight if you are a kilogram person, or at least actually it's 2.2 grams if you're a kilogram person, or a 1 gram per pound if you're a pound person. But when it comes to protein, it's not just that it's satiating or that it helps with cravings, but it's the most thermogenic one there is. And it's probably the hardest ones to prep for. So, in trying to eat whole foods plus hit your protein, you're inevitably going to be eating whole foods anyway. But also, it leaves a lot of room for junk if you're not trying to hit a higher amount of protein. However, she's saying that she's eating a lot of healthy food. So, what could we say about that one if it's the last 5 to 7 pounds that she's wanting to lose?
Hmm. I would say if she's happy with how much muscle she already has, is that what she
Apparently,
feels?
she doesn't want to bulk anymore.
She doesn't want to bulk anymore. And she's been on restricted calories for a period of time.
Yeah, however, I don't really know how tall or how heavy she actually is.
Okay.
However, 1,700 calories is pretty low with the amount of activity she's saying that she's doing.
Yeah.
But she is only training 2 times a week. And with people that have the last 5 to 7 pounds to lose, I typically see it as they don't really understand just how hard it is to build muscle. And most of the time, the slimmer look is not a matter of losing more fat, it's an under-muscled issue.
And also, like the last 5 to 7 pounds is the hardest bit to lose. The body doesn't want to go down to that restricted level of fat.
And this is something that I've actually been talking to Adam a lot about because in comp prep, we were talking a lot about the trade-offs that he had to make to get down to his really lean levels. And yeah, you can easily get to a photo shoot level or a general lifestyle level of leanness, and it doesn't require as many trade-offs. But to get to stage lean, to get to such a goal, he was taking his scales everywhere. He would take his Tupperware everywhere, lug it around to my house, including a tiny little micro device for his salt.
Yeah.
So
We're
it
measuring salt to the gram.
to the absolute gram, everything to the absolute gram, the sauces, the everythings. And that's something that a lot of people also don't consider. If you're putting butter on your pan or oil on your pan and you're counting absolutely everything you're eating, except what you're flavoring your food with or oiling your pan with or adding into your milks, like, yeah, okay, cool. It's only 20 calories or only 30 calories is what a lot of people say. But when you're trying to lose fat as a female, every little thing counts. I don't have his metabolism. He was dieting on my bulking calories. Like males, most males have a higher ability to eat more food. We
We carry
cannot.
more muscle.
Yeah. There you go as well. Muscle. And if what you're saying is that you have enough muscle mass and you don't want any more, I would say what do you actually think that muscle is going to, like, what do you think that training for more muscle is going to bring you body composition wise? A lot of the time, the image comes with, oh, I'm just going to feel more bulky or get more bulky. But if you're perimenopausal, you're more likely to lose muscle than you are to gain it.
Mhm.
You're pretty much losing it if you're not trying to build it, let alone trying to keep it. And 2 times a week is pretty maintenance level. But if you're always dieting, I would even be cautious of whether that is enough to keep it because 90 to 100 grams of protein is not enough if you are in a diet. That is when you want to increase your protein because you want to hold on to muscle. And your muscle protein synthesis is lower. I think it's about 15 or 20%, something like that, lower in a diet. And like, you are not going to get bulky, not by any extent, by eating 1,700 calories, being that active and only training 2 times a week. If I would argue that 3 times a week of strength training and really pushing for progressive overload is going to be the answer that you're looking for. But also, do you really need to lose the last 5 to 7 pounds? Is it really a muscle issue? I mean, is it really a fat issue? What do you typically see? Like, especially when we were looking at the ladies on stage, it's like you could tell that you had to diet down to such unsustainable levels, which I would,
Sustainable
it would be
to
like,
the extreme where people can end up in hospital.
yeah. But even looking at the females on stage, the bikini chicks, especially the younger ones,
And they're not expected to be like super lean.
they're
Some
not,
abs.
yeah,
That's it.
like they're not expected to be super lean yet.
Not like the other classes.
If you see them train, especially that Hannah, whatever her name is, the Hannah chick, she trains her ass off.
Oh my god, she trains harder than nearly every guy in the gym.
She,
And
she
she's in bikini.
she's in
Not
bikini.
figure,
She's in bikini.
not physique.
Mm. And she's probably exactly as he said. She trains to failure. She's in there nearly every single, not every single day, but she's in there most days of the week. She's smashing her weights. She's pushing to failure. She's lifting heavy. She makes sure that she fails every single set. You can see the effort she puts in. And she's in bikini. Bikini. And if you look at the juniors, when you were looking at the juniors on stage, especially the younger ones, and even some of the masters ladies, because there was the masters, I would assume, at
Some of them were brilliant as well in the masters.
but a lot of them you would assume that because like I noticed a lot of really, 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 really tiny people that kind of look muscular. By muscular, I mean toned. I mean toned. I mean like they look like they actually had tone versus they were just soft. And in bikini, you need to have like definition, you need to have lines, you need to have something there that makes you look like you actually have something to you.
Especially the hamstring tie-in.
Yes, that's this part right here. That part. Yes, you saw my awesome screen, but like that's what they're after. They're not really
see that.
they don't really care all too much about the upper body, but
A little bit of shoulder, not
yeah,
much.
shoulders, a little bit of back maybe because it gives you the shape and that's what they want with the bikini ladies. You don't want to look so soft on the top. But what I'm trying to get to is they were tiny, tiny. To be able to look like they had some muscle or look like they had some definition, I would assume that they were on 1,000 calories, if not 800 calories. And oh, you shouldn't be on 1,100 calories or 800 calories. Well, if you're dieting to be that lean on stage and you're that lean, trying to get leaner, and you don't have a lot of muscle mass, and you're at the very end of a diet, I would argue that 1,000 calories is not going to cut it for most of them, and they will have to go a little bit lower because they're going to be really freaking tired.
And that's a mind battle.
It is.
Yeah.
You don't have to diet on that many calories, that little of calories, if you had more muscle mass, if you had more training capacity, because I bet a lot of those, if we watched them in the gym, they probably wouldn't be lifting near as much as I'd be lifting,
No.
as much as I lift.
No.
And that's the point. Like, this is why the Ruby Recomp method, which is going to do some rebranding and planning out, which I just thought of will be really good to start planning out for how I want to start branding that a little bit better. But that's exactly what the Ruby Recomp method is all about. Because there's no point putting you into a diet if your body isn't going to respond. We need to build up your training capacity. We need to get you being able to lift heavier, more intense for longer periods of time, not just training 6 days a week with no real plan, or training 5 days a week when you're not recovering well. You're not really training, progressing the way that you could if you were doing 4 days a week, as an example. Because we need to get your strength up and then we can go from there. Yes, nutrition is always going to be the main thing, but it's the hardest to change. So let's give you something tangible to go after. Because from what I see here, tons of veggies, whole grains, it looks like you are like, by what you're portraying, you're trying to eat extremely, extremely clean. Maybe you are sticking to that, but maybe you're not sticking to that, because I could not eat kale and spinach and only whole grains and 90 to 100 grams of protein and be able to do that day in, day out, day in, day out. And by the sound of it, you also have a husband that you like doing things with. Do you go out to eat? Do you have date nights? Do you sneak in some of these things? Do you have kids? Do you eat their crusts? Do you finish their plates? Like, you want to build a bigger engine, not just keep trying to shrink yourself. And lifting or adding in more is not going to make you more bulky. You will not get more bulky by trying to get stronger. My whole premise of competing in powerlifting was to prove that I could have the biggest strength to weight ratio, that I didn't need to get fat to be able to deadlift the 190 kilos. Like, you don't. And most of the people you're seeing online, you don't even know who's on performance enhancing drugs or PEDs or whatever you know it as. Like, you don't even know who's on freaking weight loss pills these days. You just don't know, because you don't magically just build muscle by taking it either. Like, you still need to train. It just makes it easier. It, like, what did you say about the juniors in the gym that were taking it and eating like crap?
You wouldn't even know by looking at them.
Because they just store a lot of fat, and you can tell that they're not eating chicken and broccoli.
They go to the gym, they take PEDs, but then they go to Macca's and KFC and
It's
eat
all,
whatever they want.
it's all of it together. And the worst relationship with food you can have is one where you are trying to eat so clean that you're forgetting to put your life into this.
And so restricted that eventually you're just going to crack. So you're that restricted, then eventually you're just like, oh, I'm so hungry. And then you have 8 cookies, and then you have 10 cookies.
What
All of
was
a sudden you've had 1,000 calories.
what was your after comp like?
Terrible. Body's just saying, you're starving. You need to put fat back on. This is dangerous. And it craves what is going to put the weight on the fastest. So it craves sugar and it craves fat.
So if he like this, the reason that he is able to sustain what he has is because he's built this up. He did not his coach wouldn't let him compete until number one, he got himself healthy. Number two, he had to do a build.
Two
And
builds.
two builds. He did two builds. Two builds. And in all of that, he was building the habits. He was weighing his food. He was getting used to doing the check-ins. He was building a lifestyle that was able to then facilitate him stepping on stage.
18 months of taking scales everywhere. 18 months of food prep. 18 months of sticking to the program.
And the thing is, it was made in a sustainable way because he was able to understand what it's like to be in a build, understand what it's like to be in maintenance.
All tracked.
He understood what it's like to be outside of a deprivation state, that it was easier for him to then transition into one, which he's in one now. He's eating how many more calories? Like 1,000 more calories or something? You were on 2,400, 2,500 or something.
No,
Right?
I was fortunate I didn't go that low. Like a lot of guys and girls go much lower, but a lot of guys go down to 24, 25. Some go as low as 1,800 guys.
I will say also,
I think the lowest one was 2,800.
what he was doing religiously, tracking his steps, making sure that he always got over 10,000. And then,
10's the bare minimum.
yeah, and then he met me and started to challenge himself
Closer
to
to 20.
15,000 and closer to 20,000, because I'm someone who is an avid fan of walking.
20 minutes fasted cardio every morning.
Exactly. And this is the thing, like,
3 hours fasting every morning, 2 hours fasting before bed.
like, you don't need to do the fasting. There's no proven benefit to that, but it will get you to do your cardio in the morning if that is a
I
sacrifice.
think the biggest thing was if you delay your first meal, then you're less likely to, your meals become more congested, so
Yeah.
you're less likely to want to be hungry at the end of the day.
Actually, that is a really good point as well. Something that I'm a big, huge fan of is closing your kitchen off at a certain time, and also delaying your first meal as much as possible, but also knowing yourself. Because I know a lot of people who, in doing that, it's the worst thing for them because
If,
they end up more hungry later on.
even if I don't do fasted cardio, I try to fast.
Yeah. So it's really helpful to condense your eating window. If you're someone who thinks you need to eat breakfast, but you're never hungry for breakfast, and then you snack on things that's crap through the day, then eat your freaking breakfast. Like eat the breakfast because that is going to be better for you than fasting. But if you're someone who can actually make it by to like 8, 10 o'clock, eat your first meal then. Make sure it has at least 35 grams of protein. You'll be better off aiming for 50. I prefer, and I'm sure you know the benefits of this as well. Like, actually, I don't even have to ask him. I know this because I've been living with him, so to speak. Less meals, bigger meals, way better for fat loss than smaller meals with less calories.
4 big meals, typically.
He preferred the 4 big meals to the 5 smaller meals that he got.
5 before I would do even 6, and when I did 6, I was always hungry.
Yeah, and you're always thinking about food. And the worst thing, I don't know if any of you guys can relate, but I prefer to hold off my meals as like wherever I can because as soon as I start eating,
Just want to keep eating.
yeah, I just want to keep eating. But I can easily refrain from eating.
Especially in a calorie deficit, if
And,
you are trying to cut off.
and the thing is, if you're always trying to restrict yourself, you're gonna find it harder to say no to things because it feels like it's a never-ending pursuit. You're running towards the horizon, you don't know when it's gonna end. Whereas if you know what it's like to actually eat enough food for long enough and feel really freaking good, then you can have like, you start to have faith that you can stick to this because you know that it's not forever. And this is one of the biggest things. And this is also something that came up in one of the other questions, which I thought was really important to bring up as well, because on one of the other questions, well, actually, it always comes to people asking about losing these stubborn pounds, this stubborn bit of fat. That is going to, like, if it's really worth the sacrifice to you, you need to get clear with that first. And you also need to realize that all of that fat's going to come back on and it's going to be stored in your belly more than anywhere else. Because when you lose fat and when you gain fat back, there's body fat redistribution. And the worst part is the way that he was after comp, which I got distracted, ADHD, I need to take my tablet, remind me. But after his comp, what was it? It was, he ate like 2 cookies. Actually, he ate 1.5 and then decided to eat the other half while I was at the gym doing my cardio.
It's true.
Yes. And as soon as we got back home, we went to get a burger. He got the burger and it was
20 weeks
huge.
I've been waiting for that burger.
Yeah. And the burger would probably, how many calories would have been in the burger?
I'd say at least 800.
800 in the burger, about 600 in each of the cookies. And then on the way home, he's like, I can't wait until I go home and eat this huge 1 kilo bowl. 1 kilo bowl.
I had a kilo bowl, just over a kilo.
Just over a kilo of cream of rice.
Cream of rice with berries and peanut butter and jam.
Yeah.
Banana.
Yeah. And then I came home from my cardio. He told me he ate the other half of the cookie. And then we went out to dinner. And then he ate the dinner. And then we came home.
Another cream of rice meal.
Another cream of rice meal.
Smaller. Maybe like half a kilo this time.
And he was still hungry the next day. And then I asked him on Monday, because that was what it's Saturday, how are you feeling after your meals now that they're bigger? I'm still hungry.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what most people aren't prepared for. And if you don't have an after diet approach, or if what you do through the diet is unsustainable, it's ridiculous, you don't have a coach. I had a client who came to me 3 times, because she only came to me for the weight loss part. She would not stay for the after part. And she always came up with some form of lie the first 2 times. And the third time, she's like, I'm going to stay through it. She didn't. Because people don't see the value in staying with you outside of weight loss. And then you wonder why you gain the weight back. You never learned how to maintain it. You never learned how to live outside of it. And this was years ago, back in like 2017, 2018. I've been coaching for like almost 11 years now.
There's so many of these athletes that compete that they can be so strict, get on stage, they weighed out every meal for 18 months perfectly. Once the goal is gone, the drive is gone, they're left to their own devices without a coach. It is not uncommon for people to put on 15 to 20 kilos in the next 4 to 6 weeks. I can tell you so many competitors that they just lose complete control because they're not monitored.
Yeah. There's two people that I can think of
and
now.
they're like,
Hmm.
it's almost uncontrollable, is the way they describe it.
It's almost like it's the dangling carrot I talked about. If there's no fat loss goal, it's either on a diet or off a diet. You don't know how to live.
And because the body's in such a depleted state, it's craving
Everything.
everything. It wants a little bit of fat on there in case, caveman starvation. It wants that just in case storage in there. So the body's natural chemicals are saying you need more fat, but put on that on top of I don't have a goal anymore, so I'm just going to eat more food. The two together as a combination, that's bad.
Yeah. And the worst part about that is that you actually change your body fat set point and your hunger set point. So when you lose weight, you're going to be more hungry regardless because you're shrinking fat cells and those fat cells are still going to produce ghrelin. And one thing to keep in mind is that after a diet, your ghrelin signals will increase right away, but
Yeah.
your leptin signals are going to stay delayed for
Mhm.
2 to 3 weeks. For some people, it's 4 weeks. So
It's critical.
yeah. So you're not going to have that satiety thing that tells you to stop eating. So if you don't have practices in place and you don't have a plan after the diet, you're going to be screwed. You should be eating this. I I have such a what's the word? Grip. Such a ugh at the whole you should be eating the same foods and fat loss that you eat in normal day-to-day life. Who are you talking to? The general person who knows how to eat healthy, the general person who understands nutrition, or the general person walking around in the shopping center who thinks bananas have protein? But like not even that exaggerated. You shouldn't be eating the same way in fat loss as you do it. That's why fat loss is unsustainable. You need to make sacrifices. You should be eating as much as you can on a plate for as little calories as possible without sacrificing for performance because there's an inverse relationship kind of thing where you can go too far and you can fall out of you're not eating for performance anymore. You're just eating for diarrhea in the bowl because everything is way too much fiber. But then, on the other hand, if you think about the bikini girls that were on stage eating that little for calories, like you need to end up building more muscle, and a lot of them don't understand that they're going to need to gain body fat back to be healthy. What exactly is it that you're comparing yourself to when you say you need to lose 5 to 7 pounds? I'm pretty sure it's because you just want to look tighter, not softer. And in perimenopause, the biggest issue is that most women do not have enough muscle. They spent most of their life dieting, they spent most of their life trying to get skinny. They never built up these reserves, and now there's still the fear, if not more fear, because now something is happening that's totally out of control. You're going to be gaining more belly fat regardless because belly fat redistribution happens when you lose estrogen. Instead of storing it in all these other areas of your body, you're going to be storing it in your gut. So this is where strength training comes in. The stronger your legs, the more metabolic you are because your legs are huge muscles. Yeah, and what you would imagine those bikini girls on stage, once they finish, there's that celebratory donut. And then there was
That's
even
how it starts.
tell me more about that. I haven't been in the competing thing for ages, but what do you
The body has such a craving for food that it's a kind of a weird thing. If you don't have the calorie dense food, you don't crave it. But once you have some of it, you just want more and more of it to the point where you'll eat it till you feel sick.
Yeah. And that's another thing that I hate in the fitness industry. If you can't keep it in the house, you're disordered. No. If it keep like why would you want to keep battling a dragon when you can avoid the dragon entirely? Don't bring it in the house if you're struggling with it.
It's not too dissimilar to if you're a heroin addict, you can't keep heroin in your house. Like
I also hate how people say you can't compare alcohol and food or heroin and food. In fact, I would say
it's given the same dopamine sort of hit.
I would say it's worse because you
Except
have
for
to.
sugar.
But people say not to compare it because it's a drug substance or it's an actual substance. But I would say that food as an abusive substance is worse because you have to eat. You can't not eat. You're gonna have to be around food through the day. Otherwise, you're gonna die and you're gonna gravitate to food anyway. But you can easily refrain and keep yourself out of an alcoholic or heroin that environment.
I found personally that if it wasn't in the house, I wouldn't make the effort to go to the shops to go and get it. The craving would go before I made the effort.
And because he had a comp, he found it very easy to, well, he didn't find it very easy. He was actually struggling to start with, but then he had the he had like a little talk and then realized, hey, I can actually choose to not have this because it's for a period of time to get to the stage, to get to the end goal. But now that he doesn't have a goal, the first thing that came in mind is now I don't have something to help me say no.
Well,
But
initially, it was my fear that the kids would want to have junk food in the house, and if there was junk food in the house, I would eat it. So initially, I thought, well, we won't have junk food, and then I slowly introduced some junk food. I don't want to call it extreme, like a packet of biscuits or a packet of chips in the house, and I realized that I could live in the house without any issue of wanting to eat it. It
yeah,
was fine. Like I had the strength to not do it.
and that's the funny thing because if you think about the guy who's a coach at our gym, what did he say to you?
He said he needs a coach.
What did he do?
He uh he said if he had a coach, like he would make better decisions because then he's accountable to someone. Like he can still go past a hamburger shop and get a hamburger. He can still go and get a piece of cake. But he said if I had a coach, I wouldn't do that because at the end of the week, my coach is going to say, "Have you stuck to your diet?" And I would rather say I did and not do it. But when I'm looking after myself, it's like, you know what? Stuff it. I'm going to have a hamburger.
Mm,
And
exactly.
these aren't like
He's an IFBB pro.
these are people that go overseas to compete. Like they're not just some random from the gym.
Yeah,
So that shows you even the most elite athletes, they have coaches.
like think about I think people think as soon as I gain all the tools or I master this, I master that, I wouldn't need a coach anymore. But if you think Tiger Woods still has a coach. Like you need someone there to
Every
keep you in
professional
check.
tennis player has a coach.
I think we're still stuck in the old paradigm where you just usually hire people to get to like this end result and that's it. But that was for like teach a man how to fish and he won't need like just teach a man how to fish and then he wouldn't need you anymore. But that's for weight loss. Like we teach you how to eat for weight loss. But this is more than that now. This is health. This is longevity. This is teaching you how to lift weights. This is progressing you. This is keeping you on track. And for the most of you, I'm pretty sure that you do not have the free time nor the capacity to think of 100 million things going on and to be able to decipher what's true and what's not when you have friggin' Stacey Sims. I'm sorry, I dropped a name because I'm about to do a post on why she's absolutely toxic for the general person. Stacey Sims telling you not to do zone two because it's bad for you, where you should be doing hit instead. Like that is absolutely ridiculous. That, anyone saying that walking is an exercise is ridiculous. Like I would say walking is an exercise for people who are fit. But for the majority of you, walking is exercise. Walking could even be zone two for half of you because it gets your heart rate jacked up. Put the walking on an incline, all of a sudden it's zone two, which I also have to say you will burn more calories with walking on an incline than you would wearing a weighted vest. Wearing a weighted vest is just absolutely ridiculous, has no research to back it, and it's one of the things that I also have found the word, it's a gripe. I have a gripe with that. But someone here said
But what do the bodybuilders do to lose weight, to lose fat? What are they
they
doing?
they're tracking their food
And steps.
and steps.
They just walk.
They're tracking their food and they're doing
They're
steps.
not doing weighted anything.
Yeah,
They're not even walking fast. They
they,
just walk.
they just walk.
At
And
least 10,000 steps a day.
this guy got even leaner and he dropped weight even more by doing two things. Number one, chilling out with me more because I got his resting heart rate down, reducing your stress, huge thing.
Stress is a big one.
Yeah, and he also found that walking with me and the dogs at night
More
was part of
steps.
that. But guess what else comes with that? More steps.
An easy 5,000 steps.
Easy 5,000 steps. And because I like walking everywhere, we'd been walking more than ever before, and it just made his prep that much easier.
In 3 weeks, I lost another 2.5 kilos
Yeah,
when I was already tight.
like that's the power of all of this. And if you're a
Didn't
small,
change food.
Mm. So if you want to lose fat, I'm going to ask you that again. If you want to lose fat, if you want to lean up, if you don't want to restrict anymore, if you want to find it easier, what are the two easiest ways to do that?
I think incidental steps, fun steps.
Making it
Go
fun.
in nature. Go for a hike. Go for a walk on the beach if you live near one. Go for a walk with your dogs. Or anything. Just get moving.
See, I liked walking my dogs. I would do like a one lap here, one lap there, sometimes two laps. But doing it with him made me walk even more, made him walk even more. Like, make it enjoyable. But I also understand that for many of you, you can't do that. You need, like, I can't emphasize the word need more. You need to get a walking pad. because most of you are very busy. You cannot make time for all of these steps, but you can make something happen. Because if you're going to sit on your butt and watch TV, use a walking pad if you need to get your steps. Like if
But even going for multiple walks a day, break it up into like 10 minutes.
exactly like
Wait for 10-minute walks a day. That's a lot.
what are you doing at nighttime? Do a walk. And for many of you, like I also understand that many of you live in really shitty climates. Walking pad, just do little bits here and there. Walk around the office. I know, like there are ways to find incremental ways to implement it into your life, and very soon you'll find ways that are more incidental. But if you're someone that just does not have a lifestyle that facilitates that, that's why we are doing it for. That's why we are doing it for that's what Ruby Recomp method is all about. It's building up these areas of your life so that when we do put you into a fat loss phase, it just falls off. And I'm pretty sure, actually, when I did my fat loss phase, because I was trying to lose weight so much for that powerlifting comp, I could never get under 56 kilos, and I needed to be under 56 for that comp. I was in a bath for pretty much the whole afternoon trying to drop weight, 5 kilos overnight. I was struggling towards the end, but I had my goal fixated. And this is the thing, like, if I didn't already have the lifestyle and it didn't fit into my life, I'm not you. I do this for a living. Many of you can't do that, which is why it's even more important for you to build this up without having a goal there. If you need to do it for a goal, it's not going to last you when you're in your menopausal years, when you're beyond 50. Like don't think of, I read something really good this morning in one of my books, and it's just we don't relate. There's so many studies. We do not relate to our future version of ourselves as ourselves. We see it as like a stranger. There was a study where they're like, if you could get $1,000 now or get $9,000 in some period of time and you had to imagine your future self, to them, it felt like it was either get $1,000 now or give $9,000 to a stranger.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was another study where they did this it was like a virtual reality thing where they saw like they spoke to themselves, they saw themselves, and then they saw a future version of themselves. And then the other group saw themselves now, and then just some random person in the future that was aged. A tenfold increase in the people that then invested money into the superannuation account / their 401k for 10k. No, it's 401k. Because they saw themselves, they were able to put a face, they were able to like actually visualize what their life is going to be like, what they're going to be like in the future. But most of us see that person as a stranger. You're not thinking about your 50-year-old self. You just want to look good now. You want to XYZ now. And you're going to pay the fines later. If you think of it this way, if you keep taking money out of your bank without putting in deposits, you're going to be in debt. You're going to just rack up your credit card bills. Then what? Then what? Like you're robbing Luke to pay Paul, and Luke is like the but then someone said on here, which is something else that's really annoying me, that was in this, that you need to check. Like there is no such thing as not being able to lose fat if you are in a calorie deficit. But the answer is the way you're going about it, number one, sustainable? Number two, yeah, okay, you can lose weight, but are you going to look the way you want? Because I would argue no if you keep pushing it, because you're going to be losing muscle mass. You're going to not be able to adhere to it. So every single time you binge, that's getting stored as more belly fat. Or you don't even have to binge. You just have to eat off plan. But just to tie a bow on this, because it is so important. Yes, hormones matter, but like you can't just make hormones a scapegoat. You can't. Like that is exactly why you need to do a primer phase first. You need to get yourself healthy. But regardless of where your hormones are, you're going to lose fat if you're doing everything right. It's just you're making it harder on yourself. But cortisol, which everyone is so fearful of, and blood sugar, you don't have enough muscle mass. You're trying to do too much. You're trying to fix a burnt out system with doing things that lead to more burnout. And you think that taking a step back is going to take you further away. And you're scared to build bulk or you're scared to eat more food when that could be the what haven't you tried? Let me just ask you that question. What haven't
Could be what your body needs.
what haven't you tried? Because
Look what happened to my body when
explain.
my coach would see that I was starting to burn out and fatigue. He'd say, what we need to do is we need to give you a high carb day and we need to give you a day off the gym.
What happened?
I lost weight. My weight went down and then I could lose more fat. Because when your cortisol's up and you're stressed and you're fatigued, your body wants to hold on to that. It doesn't want to let the fat go. If you're going to lose anything, you're going to lose muscle. But the carbohydrates was like a reset. I had the day off the gym. I could sleep more. I relaxed. Body weight went down.
Yeah. And the one here that I was trying to say is you need to know how to organize your meals to help blood sugar. A lot of people are going to say that the way that you eat is going to help your blood sugar in some way. Yeah, that is true, but nothing is going to help blood sugar more than muscle and walking in weights. Walking weights, you can increase your insulin sensitivity straight away just by walking. Just by walking around a meal. Walk around your meals. Every single time you eat, walk around your meals. Then you can't blame your blood sugar anymore. But the thing is, no matter what you do, that is a temporary fix. The permanent fix, it's like that's the Listerine.
One of the best things you can do is actually walk straight after eating.
Yeah,
it's good for your digestion.
That's what I was saying. That's what I was saying with the blood sugar, but digestion's even a better one. Like, yeah. And like he said, muscle. Muscle is the brushing of the teeth. The walking is the Listerine. But the thing that I wanted to say here is this person here is like, how can I lose my face fat and neck fat? And the reason I wanted to bring this up is because a lot of people claim that it's cortisol face. But no, it's not. Yes, hormones can make you feel and look a little bit more puffy because you're holding more water, but that all comes down to number one, lack of recovery. But just looking at her, there's no real muscle mass. She doesn't look all that active. There's like no leg mass. And it's just general body fat. Like the way that you lose belly fat and neck fat is the same way that you lose any other fat. This guy thought that he looked like a skeleton when he got down to his like actual leanest weight. It didn't happen until you were like at your leanest part. Then he looked like a skeleton. Like some people lose fat.
Some people lose fat from their face almost straight away. I'm not one of those. I was towards the end, and everyone would, for the last 6 weeks, they go, "Oh my God, your face has changed so much." First thing I notice is your face. But then I see other people where that's the first thing I notice before I see their belly and everything. So you don't get to pick where it goes from. Everybody's different.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's genetic as well. So realize what you're willing to sacrifice, what you're not willing to sacrifice. And focusing on results and wanting to rush yourself to results is never going to get you there. You need to focus on the action steps. And sometimes you need to slow down or take a step back or just do things differently for a while to make this. What's that saying? It's sometimes you need to unplug the system for it to work again. So sometimes you need to unplug your dieting mentality in order for the diet to actually work because it should not be so hard. So yeah, hope you liked this podcast. I'm going to pull him onto some more because it's fun, but we'll actually be prepared for it and we'll actually want to do it because I kind of manhandled him to this one and just forced him to like, I just forced him to kind of like sit there because I am much better with just free ranting.
I get 20 weeks for a comp and 5 minutes for this.
I can easily free rant with this one here. he just, yeah. Love you all, and you'll hear me on the next one.